The cabin door slammed open with a gust of Arctic wind that tasted like pine and regret. And there he was, Keith, my stepson, snow-dusted and wild-eyed, his breath fogging the air like a confession too long held back. "Dad," he rasped, voice cracking like thin ice under boots. "I can't pretend anymore. It's you. It's always been you." His gloved hand shot out, grabbing my collar, pulling me into a kiss that burned hotter than the fireplace I'd been stoking alone for hours, shattering every boundary I'd built around my fractured heart. I shoved him back, not hard enough to hurt, but enough to see the flicker of pain in his hazel eyes. Eyes so like his mother's, the woman who dragged me into this makeshift family a decade ago. The living room spun, ornaments on the Christmas tree blurring into a kaleidoscope of red and gold, and all I could think was how the hell had we gotten here, in this godforsaken cabin in the Michigan woods, with winter vacation turning into the unraveling of everything I thought I knew. The drive up to the cabin had been a silent siege, the kind that builds like a blizzard you can't outrun. I'd gripped the steering wheel of my old Ford pickup until my knuckles ached, the wipers slapping away fat flakes that smeared the windshield like half-formed apologies. Keith sat shotgun, his long legs folded awkwardly against the dash, earbuds in, staring out at the endless white nothing of I-75 as if it held answers I couldn't give. At 22, he was all edges now, sharp jaw, broader shoulders from those college lacrosse games he never bragged about, a man carved from the boy I'd met when he was 12 and furious at the world for taking his real dad too soon. His mom, Lisa, had been the bridge. We'd met at a grief support group in Detroit, two widows orbiting the same hollow ache after car wrecks stole our spouses. Mine was Sarah, my high school sweetheart, gone in a flash of black ice on Lakeshore Drive. Lisa's was the drunk driver who'd plowed into them on their way back from a parent-teacher conference. We bonded over loss, over the absurdity of starting over, and when she proposed blending our families, my daughter Ellie, just 10 then, and her boys, Keith and little Jamie, we said yes because what else do you do when the alternative is staring at four walls alone? Ellie and Jamie hit it off like wildfire, thick as thieves in their shared obsession with Pokemon cards and backyard forts. Keith, though, he was a fortress himself. Walls up so high I spent years chipping away with bad dad jokes and extra innings at Tigers games. By the time Lisa and I made it official, he called me Dad without the quotes, but there was always that undercurrent, a current I told myself was just teenage rebellion. Now, with him home from his sophomore year at University of Michigan, that current felt like a riptide pulling me under. We'd arrived at the cabin, Lisa's family heirloom, tucked off a dirt road in the Upper Peninsula, 2 days ago, the whole blended crew piling in for what was supposed to be our last big holiday hurrah before life scattered us further. Ellie was 16 now, buried in her phone and some TikTok drama. Jamie, the baby at 14, was obsessed with building snowmen that looked like superheroes. Lisa bustled around the kitchen, her laugh echoing off the knotty pine walls as she stirred mulled wine, pretending not to notice the frost between Keith and me. Or maybe she did notice, and that's why she'd suggested this getaway, to thaw whatever had frozen solid over the summer. That first night, we'd roasted marshmallows over the stone hearth, the fire popping like gunfire in the quiet. Stories flowed, Ellie's college essays, Jamie's latest science fair win, Lisa's promotion at the ad agency. Keith contributed sparingly, his smiles tight, eyes darting to me across the rug more than once. I chalked it up to final stress, or maybe the breakup I'd overheard him muttering about on the phone last week. His ex, some frat boy named Tyler, had ghosted him after a weekend in Ann Arbor's dive bars. Straight guys experimenting, Keith had grumbled once, when he thought I wasn't listening. It stung, hearing the bitterness in his voice, because I'd been there back in the 90s, before Don't Ask, Don't Tell swallowed my Air Force dreams whole. I'd served 4 years in the Gulf, came home to Sarah with medals and nightmares, buried the parts of me that didn't fit the all-American script. Gay in the military, that was a court-martial waiting to happen. So I married her, loved her fierce as I could, and when she died, I buried that too. Lisa knew vaguely, in late-night confessions over whiskey, but we'd built something real, something safe. Or so I thought. By the second day, the kids had vanished into the woods for a sledding expedition, Lisa trailing with thermoses of hot cocoa. Keith and I stayed behind. To fix the generator, I'd said. But really, I needed space from the noise in my head. The shed out back was a tomb of rusting tools and cobwebs, the generator humming fitfully under a tarp. Keith showed up unannounced, toolbox in hand, his parka unzipped despite the chill. "Need a hand, Dad?" His voice was casual, but his stance wasn't shoulders squared, like he was bracing for a hit. I nodded, passing him the wrench. We worked in sync, the way we always had on car repairs or deck builds back home. Silent efficiency, punctuated by grunts and the occasional "hand me that." But today, the air crackled, charged like the static before a storm. When our fingers brushed over a spark plug, he didn't pull away. Instead, his gaze locked on mine, holding it hostage. "You okay, kid?" I asked, wiping grease on my jeans, forcing levity. "You seem off." He set the wrench down with deliberate slowness, leaning against the workbench. Snow filtered through a cracked window, dusting his dark hair like ash. "Off? Yeah. That's one way to put it." A pause, heavy as lead. "Truth is, I've been lying to you, to everyone, for years." My stomach twisted. Breakup fallout? Coming out? I suspected, hell, hoped. He'd find his way with someone who deserved him, away from the shadows I'd cast. "Keith, whatever it is, it's you," he cut in, voice raw, stepping closer until the scent of his pine cologne mixed with machine oil. "The lying starts and ends with you." Before I could process, he closed the gap, his mouth crashing into mine. Not tentative, not exploratory, but hungry, like a man dying of thirst. My brain shorted out. Hands that should have pushed rebelled, fisting in his hoodie instead. It lasted 3 heartbeats, 3 too many, before sanity roared back. I wrenched free, chest heaving, the taste of him, mint and desperation, lingering like a brand. "What the fuck, Keith?" The words exploded, echoing in the shed. His face crumpled, not in anger, but defeat, and that's what gutted me. My stepson, the boy I'd raised, looking at me like I'd just pulled the pin on his last grenade. "I'm sorry," he whispered, backing toward the door. "I thought." Shit, I don't know what I thought. Then he was gone, boots crunching snow into oblivion, leaving me slumped against the generator, his hum mocking the thunder in my veins. Dinner that night was a farce. Lisa chattered about holiday cards. Jamie reenacted his snowman massacre with dramatic flair. Ellie rolled her eyes at everything. Keith picked at his venison, eyes downcast, a bruise blooming under his sleeve from who knows where. Lacrosse, probably. I forced smiles, poured wine, but every glance his way was a live wire. When Lisa suggested charades, I volunteered for dishes, fleeing to the sink like a coward. Water scalded my hands as I scrubbed plates, replaying the kiss in loops that made my skin crawl and ignite in equal measure. Wrong. So goddamn wrong. He was family, forged if not blood, and I was the adult, the dad who was supposed to protect him from monsters like me. Because yeah, buried under layers of denial, I felt it too. That pull, the way his laugh lit rooms, how he'd grown into a mirror of the man I might have been if I'd let myself. But admitting that, it'd torch everything. A floorboard creaked. Keith, leaning in the doorway, arms crossed. We need to talk. Not here. I dried my hands, glancing toward the living room's glow. Not now. His jaw tightened. Then when? Before Mom asks why we're acting like strangers. I sighed, defeated. Porch. 5 minutes. The night air bit like teeth, stars pricking the velvet sky above the treeline. We sat on the Adirondack chairs, breath pluming between us, the silence a third presence, judgmental and thick. He spoke first, voice steady despite the shiver. It wasn't a phase, Dad, or a mistake. I felt this since I was 16, watching you fix the truck in the driveway, the way you look at Ellie like she's the sun. You're good, real. And I fell into it, hard. My throat closed. Keith, stop. I'm your father. Step or not. That's lines, he interrupted, fierce now. You think I don't know? Society's got M drawn in permanent ink. But feelings don't give a shit about ink. They bleed through. I rubbed my face, the cold sharpening the regret. Your mom. The kids. This cabin's supposed to be our reset, not our ruin. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, eyes searching mine. Then tell me you don't feel it. Lie to me, if you have to. Couldn't. The words stuck, a lump of truth I wasn't ready to swallow. Instead, I stood, chair scraping. Go inside. Get some sleep. We'll chalk this up to cabin fever. But as he rose, his hand grazed my arm. Deliberate, electric, and I knew sleep was a lie we'd both tell ourselves. That night, I lay awake in the loft, Lisa's soft snores a distant comfort below. The cabin creaked like it was whispering secrets, and every shadow twisted into Keith's form. Down the hall, his door stayed shut, but I pictured him there, wrestling demons I'd helped forge. By dawn, resolve hardened we'd survive this. Families did. But deep down, in the pit where honesty festered, I wondered if survival meant losing him altogether. Morning broke brittle and bright, sunlight fracturing off icicles like shattered glass. I was up before the coffee perked, lacing boots for a solo hike, anything to outpace the thoughts clawing my skull. The woods behind the cabin were a cathedral of white birches and evergreens, trails I'd mapped with Lisa years back during our honeymoon phase. Back when love was simple, uncomplicated by ghosts or forbidden glances. I'd barely crested the first ridge when voices filtered up. Ellie and Jamie, shrieking over a frozen pond. I veered toward them, craving the distraction of sibling chaos. They were lobbing snowballs, Jamie's aim wild, Ellie's retaliations precise as arrows. Dad, she yelled, spotting me, her cheeks flushed under a pom-pom hat. Join the war, I mustered a grin, scooping snow into a loose orb. Only if you call a truce first. We battled until my sides ached, laughter thawing the ice in my chest. For a stolen hour, it was normal, pre-Keith's kiss normal, the kind of memory I'd hoard like firewood. Lunch brought the full assembly. Lisa had outdone herself. chili steaming in cast iron, cornbread golden and crumbly. Keith trickled in last, hair damp from a shower, avoiding my eyes as he ladled soup. Under the table, his knee brushed mine. Accidental? Intentional? And I jerked away, spilling broth. Clumsy today, Dave, Lisa teased, oblivious, patting my hand. Affirmative, I muttered, forcing a chuckle. Keith's lips twitched, not quite a smile, and heat crawled up my neck. Conversation swirled around us. Plans for New Year's in Marquette, Ellie's internship dreams at Ford. Keith stayed mute, picking at his bowl, until Jamie prodded. Yo, Keith, you gonna tell us about that party you crashed? The one with the band? Keith's fork paused. Nothing to tell. Just noise. Ellie snorted. Bull. You texted me pics, hot guitarist. Remember? Spill. A shadow crossed his face. There and gone. Yeah. Well. Turns out guitarists are assholes. He glanced at me then, raw and unguarded, and the room tilted. Lisa, bless her, steered to safer waters, holiday movies, Die Hard versus Home Alone. Afternoon dissolved into indolence. Board games by the fire, Monopoly degenerating into alliances and betrayals. Keith and I ended up teamed against the kids. Our strategy seamless, him blocking properties, me negotiating trades. Every shared look was a minefield, every brush of fingers over fake money a spark. By Monopoly's end, with us bankrupt and howling, the tension had morphed into something almost playful, dangerous in its familiarity. Lisa caught me alone in the kitchen later, chopping onions for stew. You two seem better, she said, hip-checking me aside to grab spices. Whatever funk Keith was in, it's lifting. I nodded, throat tight. Yeah. Kid's resilient. She studied me, green eyes sharp. And you've got that faraway look again. Like after Sarah. The knife slipped, nicking my thumb. Blood welled, pinprick of red. Just holiday blues. Promise. She bandaged it, her touch maternal, steady. We're good, Dave. You, me, the chaos were solid. A kiss to my temple. Then she was gone, humming Bing Crosby. Guilt gnawed like frostbite. Solid? I'd cracked that foundation with one unresisted moment in a shed. That night, as snow piled against the windows, I excused myself early, claiming a headache. The loft was my sanctuary, queen bed piled with quilts, a skylight framing the moon's cold glow. I scrolled my phone mindlessly, old photos of barbecues, Keith's high school graduation, his arms slung around my shoulders in a bro hug that now read like foreshadowing. A soft knock. Keith, silhouette in the doorway, flannel pajamas rumpled. Can't sleep, go back to bed, I whispered, sitting up. But he slipped in, perching on the quilt's edge like a supplicant. I need to explain. About the shed. His voice was low, urgent. It's not puppy love or daddy issues. Jeremy. The name hit like a sucker punch. Jeremy. Keith's roommate at U of M. The one from Family Weekend last spring, tall, lanky artist type with paint-streaked jeans and a laugh that filled rooms. I'd liked him, thought he was good for Keith. Steady, out and proud. The kind of guy who dragged Keith to pride parades instead of dive bars. Jeremy? I echoed, confusion curdling. Keith's fingers twisted the blanket. We hooked up freshman year. Thought it was real, late nights in the dorm, sketching each other naked, talking futures, a bitter laugh. But he bailed when I mentioned you. Said I was too hung up on my stepdad dynamic to commit. Like I'm broken because I idolize the one guy who's always had my back. Relief warred with horror. Not me, then. Projection, a ghost of unmet needs. Keith, that's Jeremy's an idiot. You're not broken. You're you, he finished softly, eyes lifting. I see him in you. The quiet strength, the way you fix things without asking for thanks. But it's more. Just wanting to be close, to touch, without the world screaming wrong. My pulse thrummed. It is wrong. I'm married to your mom. You're my son. Step, he countered, fierce. No blood, no court order tying us that way. Just choice. And I choose this, us, whatever it costs. He shifted closer, hand on my knee, and the dam cracked. I covered his hand with mine, not pulling away. We can't. Not like this. Then teach me how, he pleaded. Because pretending, it's killing me. We sat there, hands linked, the cabin's heartbeat syncing with ours. No kiss, no leap, just a tether, fragile as spider silk. When he finally left, the door clicking shut, I lay staring at the ceiling, Jeremy's name a talisman against the tide. Betrayal's first whisper. Not Keith's, but my own, for wanting to believe we could rewrite the rules. Next day dawned with a vengeance. Wind howling, power flickering. Lisa declared a snowed-in spa day, masking boredom with face masks and hot toddies. The kids dove into it. Jamie's mustache of clay drawing giggles. Ellie's selfies flooding the group chat. Keith and I orbited the edges, our secret a shared gravity pulling us into stolen moments. Passing salt with lingering fingers, eyes meeting over card games like co-conspirators. By evening, cabin fever peaked. Jamie unearthed an old Ouija board from the attic, insisting on a seance. For holiday spirits, we humored him, clustered around the dining table, fingers on the planchette under candlelight. Questions flew. Will I ace my finals? Does Santa skip naughty kids? Giggles dissolving into shrieks when it spelled Cass. Keith's got a crush. Jamie crowed, oblivious. Keith's face flamed, but he shot me a look half terror, half dare. Lisa laughed it off. Ancient board. Probably means the dog from last summer. But later, as embers died in the grate, Keith cornered me by the woodpile. It's a sign, he murmured, stacking logs with precision. The universe saying go for it, or warning us off, I replied, but my voice lacked conviction. Snow swirled, blanketing the world in hush, and for a reckless second, I cupped his cheek, thumb tracing stubble. We wait. Till break's over. Till we're not. Here, he nodded, leaning into the touch. Promise, promise. That vow held through the night. But dreams betrayed me. Visions of Jeremy's sketches come alive. Keith's body arching under mine. Lines blurring into ecstasy. I woke sweat-soaked, Lisa stirring beside me, and slipped downstairs for air. Keith was there, silhouetted by the fridge's glow, raiding midnight snacks. Our eyes met. No words. Just a step, a pull, and suddenly his back was against the counter, my mouth on his neck, tasting salt and surrender. It was fever, pure and punishing, hands roaming under shirts, breaths mingling in frantic gasps. We broke apart at the creak of stairs, hearts jackhammering, the almost touch hanging between us like smoke. Go, I hissed, turning away. He did, shadow retreating, but the damage was done. The line wasn't crossed, it was erased. The third day blurred into a haze of half measures, each hour a tightrope over the abyss. We promised to wait, but waiting was its own torment. Every shared meal a minefield of unspoken wants, every family hike a parade of proximity that sparked like flint on steel. Lisa, ever the glue, organized a cookie-bake marathon, flour dusting the air like confectioner's snow. Keith and I manned the rolling pins side by side, dough yielding under our palms, his laugh bubbling up when Jamie smeared icing on Ellie's nose. Teamwork makes the dream work, Lisa quipped, snapping Polaroids for the fridge gallery. Click. Us all huddled, smiles strained at the edges. Click. Keith's arm slung casual around my waist for the group shot, his fingers pressing just a beat too long. I froze, camera immortalizing the fracture. Post-bake, the kids commandeered the TV for a Lord of the Rings marathon, burrowing into blankets like hobbits. Keith claimed the armchair, me on the couch's end, a chasm of cushions between. But gravity won. By fellowship's close, his feet nudged mine under the throw, toes tracing deliberate circles on my ankle. I didn't move. Couldn't. The contact was innocent camouflage, but it thrummed through me like bass from a hidden speaker. Lisa dozed against my shoulder, her warmth a reminder of vows exchanged under Detroit oaks. I loved her, steady, sunlit love that had weathered miscarriages and mortgage crunches. But Keith's touch was moonlight, elusive and intoxicating, awakening hungers I'd starved since Sarah's death. Back then, I dabbled in shadows bars in Chicago's Boys Town, anonymous hands in back rooms, but always returned to her, to safety. Now, with Keith, safety felt like suffocation. Halfway through 2 towers, he rose for water, brushing my hair as he passed. Thirsty? He whispered, so low only I heard. I followed a minute later, kitchen dark save for the fridge's hum. He was there, glass in hand, back to me. Couldn't stay away? Keith, his glass clinked down. He turned, closing in, forehead to mine. Say my name again. Like you mean it. Keith came out wrecked. A plea. His lips hovered, breath ghosting my skin, and I cracked, kissing him slow, exploratory, mapping the shape of regret. No frenzy this time, just depth. His hands cradling my face like I was fragile, breakable. We sank against the cabinets, world narrowing to the slide of tongues, the hitch of breaths. When we surfaced, eyes locked, he whispered, Jeremy was wrong. This isn't hang up. It's home. The word gutted me. Home. What I'd built for him, twisted now into something profane. We stopped this. Now. He pulled back, hurt flashing. Why? Because it's scary? Or because you want it too much? Both. Neither. Because it'll destroy us all. He left without another word, the back door banging his exit. I slid to the floor, head in hands, the taste of him a sacrament I couldn't swallow. Dawn brought penance. I volunteered for town run, groceries, firewood, the excuse to escape the cabin's claustrophobic pulse. The drive to Munising was a mercy, Highway 28 a ribbon through white wilderness, Lake Superior's gray expanse winking from afar. At the co-op, I loaded the truck methodically, eggs, milk, that god-awful peppermint bark Lisa craved. My phone buzzed, text from Keith, sorry for pushing. Still family? Thumbs hovered. Always. Send. Relief. Sharp as biting air. Back at the cabin, normalcy asserted itself. We decorated the tree, tinsel tangling fingers. Ornaments evoking ghosts. Sarah's hand-blown glass angel. Lisa's childhood star. Keith and I strung lights in tandem, shoulders bumping, the silence companionable now, laced with tentative peace. Remember the year the power went out mid-decorating? He said, clipping a bulb. I chuckled. You and Jamie built a fort from the boxes. Best blackout ever. His smile was genuine, thawing. You read us the night before Christmas by flashlight. Hero shit. Hero. The label chafed now, but I wore it like armor. Dinner was potluck. Ellie's mac and cheese, Jamie's lopsided pie, and stories flowed freer. Keith recounting a disastrous group project with Jeremy. Guy thought Picasso was a font, he deadpanned, drawing laughs. No undercurrents, just us messy, mended. But nightfall unraveled the mend. Insomnia drove me to the porch, wrapped in a quilt, stars a scatter of diamonds overhead. Footsteps, Keith, mug steaming. Cocoa? He offered one, settling beside me. Peace offering? I accepted, sipping the chocolate warmth. More like insomnia buddies, we sat shoulder to shoulder, the swing creaking rhythm. Crickets had long fled, but owls hooted distant symphonies. Tell me about before, he said softly. Before Mom. Before. Everything, the question ambushed. Why? Because I want all of you. Not just the dad version. I hesitated, then spilled Air Force days. The thrill of jets and the terror of raids. Sarah's wild curls and how she'd dance in the kitchen to Springsteen. The bars I'd haunt post-missions, seeking solace in strangers' arms before duty called me back. I was gay, Keith. But I chose the path that fit, the one with picket fences and PDA meetings. He absorbed it, quiet. And now, I turned, his face moonlit, earnest. Now I'm terrified. Of losing you. Of losing me. His hand found mine, intertwining. Then don't choose. Not yet. The kiss that followed was inevitable. A dam burst after days of pressure. We moved inside, to the loft's shadows. Lisa downstairs, oblivious in sleep. It was hushed urgency. Shirts shed in whispers, skin meeting skin like long-lost continents. Keith's body was a revelation. Lean muscle from runs along the Huron. Scars from lacrosse falls faint under my palms. He arched into touches. Gasps muffled against my shoulder. And I drowned in him, in the rightness that defied every wrong. After, tangled in sheets, he traced my chest. This doesn't have to end here, but it did. Dawn's light crept in, gray and accusatory, and with it, reality. I dressed in silence, pressing a kiss to his temple. It has to. For now, he nodded, eyes glistening. I love you, Dad. The words hung, a noose and a lifeline. Love you too, kid. Downstairs, breakfast hummed with ignorance. Pancakes flipping, coffee brewing. Keith joined late, rumpled and radiant, stealing glances that promised more. But mid-morning, my phone shattered the idle Jeremy. A text, forwarded from Keith's old number, heard you're playing house up north. Careful, Dave. Family's not foreplay. Ice flooded my veins. Betrayal, sharp and serpentine. How? Why? Keith, sensing my pallor, mouthed what? I showed him the screen, his face draining. That asshole. We broke up months ago. Must have hacked my contacts or something. Lies, I hissed, pocketing the phone. Or truth we ignored. The day fractured. I retreated to the shed, wrenching at the generator with futile fury. Keith followed, door slamming. It's nothing. Jealous bullshit. Is it? I rounded on him. Or did you feed him stories to make your hang-up real? Hurt bloomed in his eyes. You think I'd, after everything? I don't know, the shout echoed. Bro. I don't know you anymore. He recoiled, then advanced, chin lifted. You know me better than anyone. That's why this scares you. We stood toe to toe, breath sinking, anger alchemizing to ache. His hand rose, cupping my jaw. Fight for us. Or let me go. I pulled him in, kiss bruising, a collision of fear and fire. Not letting go, but Jeremy's specter lingered, a crack in our foundation. That night, as family sang carols by candlelight, power out again, generator spiteful, Keith's voice harmonized with mine on Silent Night. And for a verse, the world was whole. Yet doubt seeded, waiting for storm. The fourth day unleashed hell, blizzard proper, winds screaming like banshees, visibility nil beyond the porch. We were marooned, the cabin a pressure cooker of pent-up everything. Lisa turned it into game night redux. Charades, Pictionary, laughter a thin veneer over the undercurrents only Keith and I felt. During his turn, miming a fainting goat, our eyes locked mid-laugh, and the room vanished. It was just us, in that shed, in the loft, rewriting sins as sacraments. Jeremy's text festered, though. I'd blocked the number, but paranoia bloomed. What if he spilled to Lisa, to the kids? Michigan was small when scandals brewed. One whisper to mutual friends, and our snow globe shattered. Keith swore ignorance. He was clingy, but harmless. But doubt gnawed, a rat in the walls. Mid-afternoon, isolation peaked. Kids napped off lunch. Lisa buried in a novel by the fire. Keith tugged my sleeve in the hall. Attic. Now, the attic was a time capsule, trunks of Lisa's childhood dolls. My old flight manuals yellowed and dusty. We barricaded behind boxes, the slant-ceilinged space a womb of insulation. We need this, he murmured, pulling me down onto a quilted trunk. To remember why, clothes shed in frantic layers, the cold raising gooseflesh we warmed with friction. It was slower this time, reverent, exploring freckles like constellations, murmurs of names like prayers. Keith's vulnerability undid me. The tremor in his thighs, the way he whispered, Dad, not in plea, but possession. I guided him through it, hands steady where his shook, teaching rhythms I'd learned in stolen nights long ago. Climax hit like whiteout, leaving us boneless, entwined. Lying there, sweat cooling, he confessed fragments. Jeremy's jealousy had escalated post-breakup, stalking Keith's Insta, drunk voicemails accusing emotional incest. I told him it was bullshit, Keith said, fingers tracing my collarbone. But he twisted it, made me question. Until you. Me? I propped on elbow, dread coiling. You showed me it's real. Messy. But real. His kiss sealed it, soft as snowfall. We dressed in whispers, descending like thieves. But karma's a bitch. Jamie caught us at the stairs, bleary-eyed from nap. Where were you guys? Smells like old books up there. Raiding memories, I said, ruffling his hair. Keith echoed the laugh. But Jamie's squint lingered, a child's intuition sharper than adult denial. Evening brought confrontation's prelude. Power restored. We huddled for emails, mine from work, Keith's from school. His face paled at the screen. Jeremy emailed. Says he's coming up. To talk sense into you. Rage ignited. How's he even know where? My bad. Keith winced. Told him about the cabin once. Thought it was safe. Safe. The word mocked. Call him off. Now. He did. Speakerphone on. Dude. Stay away. It's done. Jeremy's voice slithered through. Oily. Done? You're fucking your stepdad. Keith. That's not done, that's deranged. I'm telling your mom unless you meet me halfway. Bluff or threat. Keith's eyes met mine. Stealing. Go ahead. See what she says about your stalking ass. Click. Silence. Then Keith's exhale. He's full of shit. But what if he does? Then we face it. I pulled him close. Defiant. Together. Night fell heavy. Sleep elusive. Lisa stirred beside me, murmuring dreams, and guilt surged, betraying her with every stolen breath. Yet Keith's pull was magnetic north, inexorable. At midnight, I crept to his room, door ajar like invitation. He was awake, reading by flashlight Kerouac, fitting for our road to nowhere. Can't stay away? He set the book aside, making space. Not tonight. We didn't speak much after. Just held on, bodies a bulwark against the storm outside and in. Dawn found us asleep, limbs tangled, until a knock, Lisa. Breakfast. Lovebirds? Wait, Keith. She stood in the doorway, robe clutched, face a mask of confusion to horror. Keith bolted up, sheet pooling. I followed, scrambling for words. Lisa. It's not. Save it. Her voice cracked, eyes darting between us. Love's wreckage. How long? Weeks, Keith admitted, chin up. Months in my head. She laughed, bitter. And you, Dave, my husband, playing house with my son. It's more. I started, but she whirled. More? You're the adult, the one who promised stability after we both lost everything. Tears tracked her cheeks. I knew you had history, your phases. But this? In our cabin, downstairs, kids stirred, innocent footsteps ascending. Go, she hissed. Talk later. Not in front of them. We scattered, me to shower, Keith to feign normalcy. Breakfast was apocalypse quiet, silverware clinking judgment. Lisa's smiles were porcelain, cracking at edges. Ellie's brows furrowed, sensing rift. Jamie chattered obliviously about snow forts. Post-meal, Lisa pulled me aside in the mudroom, coats buffering us. Truth, Dave. All of it. I spilled the kiss, the loft, the attic, omitting Jeremy's poison. Her face cycled grief, rage, resignation. I love you. Loved. But this. It's theft. Of trust. Of family. Don't, I begged. We can fix. Fix, she snorted. By what? Therapy? Coming out as a throuple? A beat? Keith's young. Confused. You preyed on that. The accusation landed like shrapnel. I tried to stop. Not hard enough. She zipped her coat, grabbing keys. I'm taking the kids to town. Ice cream. Distractions. You too. Sort your mess. The door slammed, engine roaring to life. Silence descended, thick as fallout. Keith emerged from the kitchen, eyes red-rimmed. She hates us. Not hate. Hurt. I pulled him into the living room. Fire dead but embers warm. We end this. For her. For everyone. He jerked free, fury blazing. End? After you said together? You're a coward. Dad. The slap of words stung worse than any blow. Coward? I'm trying to salvage what's left. What's left? He paced. Wild. This feeling is the first real thing I've had. Jeremy saw it, twisted it. But you made it true. Jeremy. The name ignited. He poisoned this from the start. Used your doubts to worm in. Keith stopped, deflating. What? I showed the texts, the email evidence of sabotage. His face twisted. That fucker. He knew about the cabin from a drunk night. Pushed me to confess to you. Said it'd free me. I thought it was therapy bullshit. Betrayal's full bloom. Not just Jeremy's, but ours for letting shadows dictate. We call him. End it. Speakerphone again. Jeremy picked up smirking, audible in his tone. Lovers quarrel? You, Keith snarled. You set this up. Stalking. Lies, it's over. Stay away. Or cops. Laughter. Then click. But the damage radiated. Keith turned to me, shattered. Was any of it real? Or just his game? Real, I vowed, cupping his face. Ours. The kiss was reclamation, fierce and forgiving. We made love on the rug, fire relit, bodies a defiant him. But climax brought clarity's edge. Lisa's return loomed, judgment with it. She burst in hours later, kids trailing with sticky fingers. Her eyes took in the disheveled room. Blankets askew, our guilt scent lingering. Decided? She asked, voice arctic. Keith spoke first. I'm sorry, Mom. For hurting you. She softened fractionally, hugging him fierce. I know, baby. But this, it's not love. It's chaos. And us. I stood, braced. Separate bedrooms. Counseling. Or divorce papers by spring. Her gaze hardened. Choose, Dave. Family or fantasy. The ultimatum hung. A guillotine. Keith's hand found mine, squeezing. Solidarity or sabotage. The ultimatum echoed through the cabin's final days like a tolling bell, each chime stripping layers of pretense. Lisa's decree was iron. No more touches, no stolen glances, surveillance enforced by her vigilant eyes and the kids' unwitting buffers. We complied on surface, mealtime civil, chores divided, evenings in forced family huddles over puzzles and popcorn. But beneath, Keith and I simmered, a covert current linking us across rooms, a nod over coffee, a brushed shoulder in passageways, signals in a language only we spoke. Jeremy's shadow lingered, but Keith blocked him everywhere. Numbers, socials, even changing dorm assignments for spring. Good riddance, he muttered one night, passing my door. I wanted to pull him in, hash the wreckage, but Lisa's footsteps patrolled like sentries. Instead, we texted in code, miss the attic. Soon. Real soon. Winter break waned, the blizzard yielding to tentative thaws. Ellie cornered me on a woodchop detail. Axe pauses heavy. What's with you and Mom? And Keith? It's weird. Dad. Kid stuff. I lied. Swinging. Grown-up knots. She hugged me sudden. Fierce. Untie 'em. We need you whole. Her words pierced, a child's plea cutting deeper than adult accusations. Jamie, too, sensed fractures, clinging closer during snowball fights, his forts now elaborate mazes with no bad guys signs. Lisa mothered through it, her touches softer, laced with sorrow. I miss us, she whispered one night, hand on my chest. The before. Me too, and I did, aching for the simplicity we'd lost. But Keith's orbit tugged, a gravitational betrayal I couldn't escape. Climax crested on evacuation eve, suitcases half-packed, the road cleared for our exodus. Kids romped final sled runs, shrieks echoing. Lisa volunteered for supply run to Escanaba, last-minute gifts, leaving Keith and me alone in the cabin's hush. Temptation's trap. He found me in the loft, folding quilts with mechanical precision. One last time, not plea, but statement, door shutting behind him. Keith, please. He crossed the space, hands framing my face. Before reality hits, reality was the suitcase at my feet, Lisa's ring on my finger, the life we'd resume in Detroit's gray sprawl. But his eyes, hazel storms, drowned reason. We tumbled to the bed, urgency honed by denial, kisses like famished wolves, bodies mapping farewells in bites and thrusts. It was cathartic, tears salting skin, his for the forbidden we'd tasted, mine for the wholeness we'd cracked. After, spent and silent, he traced my dog tags, Air Force relics chilled against fevered flesh. Come with me. To Ann Arbor. Start over. The fantasy tempted, us in a cramped apartment, lectures by day, nights unchained. Can't. Ellie's my blood. Jamie's heart. Your mom's. Everything. Everything but you, he countered, sitting up. This half-life? It's poison. Before I could retort, tires crunched gravel Lisa early. We dressed in frenzy, evidence buried under floorboards of haste. Downstairs, normalcy donned like masks, Keith chopping veggies, me stoking fire. But Lisa's gaze sharpened, sniffing discord. Everything. Settled. As can be, I said, voice steady lie. The drive home was procession, our truck convoy snaking south, up's wilds yielding to lower peninsula's tame. Keith rode with me, kids in Lisa's SUV ahead. Radio hummed classic rock, Dylan's Tangled Up in Blue, and we sang off key, hands linked when curves hit us. We'll figure it, he promised. Counseling, whatever. But not ending. Home hit like reentry. Detroit's sodium-lit streets, our colonial in Ferndale's quiet burbs. Unpacking was ritual, ornaments to attic, coats to hooks, but undercurrents surged. That night, family dinner, lasagna, forced cheer. Keith's foot nudged mine under table, a Morse code of weight. Post-bedtime, Lisa and I retreated to our room, king bed a battlefield. Talk, she commanded, slipping under covers. I sat beside, words leaden. I love you. Always will. But Keith is tangled. Yeah. Not just fling. Deeper. Her sigh was earthquake. I know. Saw it in the loft that morning. Not lust, but love. Pause. Wrenching. So what now? Space. The word clawed out. For all of us. She nodded, tears silent. Divorce. Then. Amicable. For the kids. Guilt tsunami. You deserve better. We all do. Her hand squeezed mine. Farewell in flesh. Be good to him. To you. The next weeks blurred. Lawyers consulted. Assets divided fair. Ellie raged. What the fuck, Dad? Then grieved. Sleepovers with friends her armor. Jamie withdrew into video games. Forts rebuilt in pixels. Keith mediated. His presence a bomb and blade. College deferred a semester to help. But really, to anchor me. Spring unfurled green. Divorce papers signed in a sterile office. Lisa moving to a condo downtown with the boys' old rooms preserved like shrines. She dated tentatively, a professor, kind-eyed, finding her son again. Ellie thrived in junior year, prom photos beaming. Jamie's forts evolved to treehouses, metaphors for rebuilding. Keith and I, we carved tentative space. Dinners in neutral territories, Cliff Bell's Jazz Club, where sax whales masked our whispers. Walks in Belle Isle, Huron lapping secrets. First official date, Motown Museum, hands brushing exhibits. His kiss under Gordy's portrait tasting like futures. No fanfare, no pride flags waving, no grand gestures. Just us, humanistic and quiet. Therapy sessions unpacking Jeremy's scars. Turns out, he'd confessed to a prof. Got a slap on wrist but no charges. Karma's whisper. My Air Force ghost. Keith's coming-of-age fury. We fought over boundaries, over Lisa's shadow, but reconciled in bedsheets. Love's forge tempering us stronger. Summer solstice. We drove north, not the cabin, but pictured rocks, cliffs plunging to turquoise waves. At a trail overlook, wind whipping, he dropped to knee, not ring, but a keychain, tiny jet, etched home. Wherever, with you, I pulled him up, kissing salt-stung lips. Yes, 1,000. Back in Detroit, life wove onward, human, flawed. Lisa and I co-parented holidays. Her toast at Thanksgiving rye. To tangled hearts untangling. Ellie rolled eyes but hugged tighter. Jamie's forts now housed barbecues. Inclusive sprawls. Keith and I built ours. Apartment near Wayne State. His art degree blooming in murals of blues and golds. No perfection, bills bickered. Nights when doubt crept. But romance in the mundane. Coffee runs at dawn. His head on my chest during Tigers games. Whispers of love you before sleep. One winter eve. First snow dusting. We stood on our balcony. City lights winking below. Remember the cabin? He murmured. Arms circling. Stunned, I echoed, smiling. Utterly, he laughed, nuzzling. Best unexpected ever, and it was betrayal transmuted to grace, conflict to clarity, a forbidden embrace warmed by time's patient fire. In America's heartland sprawl, where lines blur and hearts persist, we chose us. Humanly, holy, home.